You're now listening to the You Run podcast.
True crime. This podcast is unique. Heather, tell them why.
You choose the cases. You share your opinion. And I hit you with mine.
Opinion, he got an easier death than he deserved.
Gacy was the first Illinois prisoner executed against his will.
An eyewitness later described Bundy's last moments of life.
He made reference to his loved ones and to his family when he was saying his last words.
A serial killer comes about by circumstances and
This is the You Run podcast. This is the only true crime podcast where we put you in control. You become part of our team as me and Heather take you through the cases that you have chosen. This is not our show. This is your true crime.
That bitch is cray-cray. She's real crazy.
Hello, welcome to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott, and with me as always is...
Hi, it's Heather.
Heather just forgot.
My brain stopped fucking working, and I'm like, who is that? Who's that girl? It's Heather.
It's you.
Y'all see how I saved that shit too? I saved that shit.
And together each month we bring you the You Run podcast, True Crime. It's a true crime podcast with a difference. So you pick the cases, you get to have your say on the cases as well. Not only that, we have a quiz, which you can play along at home, which we've done last month. And we also have regular guests. And this month's guest, we are joined by Weronika. Now, Weronika, you'll probably all know as Horror Viking from TikTok and Instagram. Her account is fucking awesome. She visits numerous sites across the US, so the Lizzie Borden Murder House, 966 Lindy Street, which, if you don't know, is a site that Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated, and potentially the setting for the next Conjuring movie. Also numerous sites in Salem, and I'm literally naming a fraction of what she's shown on her account. The information Weronika gives on the locations is outstanding and far superior to anything else you can find on TikTok or YouTube. And trust me, I've looked because I like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm honoured that she's joining us today. Weronika, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm thrilled to have you on. It's been ages since I've had you, because you come on Horror Movie Review way back when. It was a long time ago now.
When we did Beetlejuice.
We did. I love that episode. It's still one of the best performing episodes we've had. It's such a good episode.
Oh, nice.
When you came on that show, we spoke about TikTok and you were just starting. And now you're kind of like TikTok royalty. Your followers and the amount of views you get on video now is like ginormous.
I'm trying, it's been good. TikTok's been treating me good lately. I'm almost at 40K, 39 point something K right now. So I'm excited about that.
That's fucking awesome.
It is. And
if only YouTube was like that. I've taken such a long break from YouTube now, but I plan to get back into it at some point.
Yeah, because TikTok's so bizarre. Because I remember when you first started, and I followed you on TikTok since you kind of were first on there, and you were getting like a couple of hundred views, maybe 1,000 views on a video. Now you're like 300,000 views, 50,000 views, 70,000 views. I'm looking at it going, wow. And it's just purely because your content is good quality. And that's all it is. It's just hard work and quality that make people watch. It's so good.
Oh, thank you.
The reason you're here, though, is because you have a love of true crime.
Yes, I do.
And you're going to help us go through a case today that is painful for me. I'm not going to lie. This has been painful every second of this investigation.
It's an extreme case for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
As everyone who listens now, unless this is your first time, if this is your first time, you're about to learn something. Everyone knows I don't like true crime because it scares me. It's terrifying. Each month I go into an investigation blind because I don't know a lot about true crime. So I actually have to sit there and go through documentaries and read stuff online and find out all the information about whoever we're investigating. This month you picked Ed Gein. And for the first time ever, I actually knew a fact. about the case.
I bet you did.
The fact I knew was that Ed Gein's crimes inspired the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Silence of the Lambs, and Psycho. So I knew that when I was going into this, I was going into something fairly dark. I was not prepared for what I found when I started investigating. I was expecting it to be bad. He inspired the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They toned it down for the movies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
So today, let's have a look at the life and crime of Ed Gein. Edward Theodore Gein, or as he would later be known, the Plainfield Ghoul, the Plainfield Butcher, the Ghoul of Plainfield, or the Grandfather of Gore. Serial grave robber and serial killer, suspected cannibal, Ed Gein's crimes shocked the world and still to this day inspire some of the scariest horror movies, documentaries and series ever made. Born 27th of August 1906, died 26th of July 1984. Today, me, Heather and Weronika try to uncover the mystery of Ed Gein and his crimes. Before we dive into the case, I want to take 2 minutes to first of all thank everyone who's been listening to the show. The response to this show has absolutely blown my mind and Heather's as well. Both of us having podcasts and good, well-performing podcasts, to get the listeners we're getting after 4 episodes is absolutely mind-boggling.
It's pretty insane, and it's also very humbling, I would say, as well, because we didn't expect for the true crime to take off the way that it has. It's like, hey, let's do this extra podcast. Hey, Heather, do you want to help me co-host? Yeah, sure. And now it's like we're getting thousands of listens.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy, but I'm very thankful for it. I'm so happy to be a part of it. I love it.
I'm over the moon, and we're number one on Samsung Podcasts, have been for over a month. We've been the trending episode. We were the number one podcast on the whole of Samsung Podcast last week. So a huge thank you to everyone who's listening. I honestly can't thank you enough. We also listen to what you're telling us. So you've been saying that you want more true crime. Now, I can't give you more true crime because I can't investigate more than one case a month for many reasons. One, because I don't have the time, and two, my mental health will not take 2 serial killers in the space of 4 weeks. So me and Heather got talking, and we've decided to bring you an episode in between each episode. So we're recording Ed Gein now, and then on the 1st of July, you're going to get a new episode, which is going to be True Crime Extended Cut. On this episode, we're going to delve more into the case and the things that me and Heather would normally talk about after we've recorded. We're going to record all of that and share it with you. We're also going to share some documentaries and movies and other things for you to discuss and have a look at. Anyone who's listened to this show knows how big a thing this is about to be. The show will be completely unedited, unscripted, unaltered, and uncut. So I have no idea what Heather may say.
I don't know what I'm going to say. You never know what I'm going to say, but this is going to be bonus extra fun for the true crime junkies. That's what I say. Like, fucking listen, you're going to love it. I'm going to say so many naughty words. It's going to be so much fun. Like, it's going to be great. I like unedited. Unedit me, please. Thank you.
I edit you heavily, Heather. Unedited you is going to be very interesting. It's going to be it's part of the main show, so you don't need to go and subscribe to another podcast. This will just pop up in your notifications, and it's just a midway point between the main episodes that we do. Anyway, let's talk about Ed Gein, the reason we're here. So Ed was born in 1906 and was the second son to George and Augusta Gein. He has his older brother Henry was born in 1901. The family life growing up was, this is understatement of the year, less than ideal, I think is where I'm going to go with this. His father was an alcoholic, often out of work. He owned a small shop for a time, but sold this and bought an isolated property in Plainsfield, Wisconsin. Ed's mum, Augusta, took advantage of this isolation and used this isolation to influence her, force her sons to grow up in a certain way. The boys only left the property to go to school. Their mum had the wildest ideology ever that she preached down to her two boys. So number one,
Yep.
drinking is evil, which I'm sure both of you have got views on that.
Yeah, I mean, even Jesus drank a little red wine, so I don't know why these people tripping. Quit tripping.
The second one, I actually agree with it. The world is an immoral place. Yes, it is. It is a very immoral
I mean,
place.
I agree with that. This world is fucked up as fuck. So I get that, but what you gonna do?
Yeah. And then she takes one step further. All women, excluding herself, are naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil.
No, we're not. I mean, sometimes we are.
We could be.
we can be whatever the fuck we want to be. Okay, this is America's. We can do that. But her teaching of that was very, very extreme. This wasn't just to like stay away from these women because I know they're bad. It's stay away from all women that are not me, mommy. That's
I think she believed like all women were whores. Like she just kept saying that over and over that and like putting that into their minds. And she was some kind of religious fanatic. I know she was a Protestant Lutheran. And
yeah, you say about the religious aspect, and that was something I was going to go on to next. So their mum set aside time for reading the Bible, but she focused on Old Testament and in particular the book of Revelations. Normally passages about death and divine retribution. That's something I'm going to talk about on Extended Cut because I've got some very strong views on that. I had a Catholic upbringing and I understand that the book of Revelations is not a book you read to young children. It's not what it's designed for.
No.
Despite all of the crazy behavior and the rhetoric that Ed's mum bestowed on her children, Ed actually done okay in school. He was a little bit weird, but he performed well, particularly in reading. His teachers noted him as quiet and a boy who had the odd, strange behaviours. So he quite often laughed to himself for no reason. Teachers attributed that to being a nervous laugh, but it would be at random times. Thoughts on that? Because I think all kids do weird things like that, or is it just me? Is it just my kids?
Weronika, we'll let you go first. If you have any thoughts on that about why would a kid be laughing at themselves?
I guess he was just a strange kid, and I think that's why he was a bit bullied, in school already, and he didn't have a lot of friends. Obviously his mother didn't let him have any friends, but he could have attempted to make friends in school, but I guess he just never did. Maybe it was because he was just too scared of his mother, or maybe he just really didn't get along. And plus, being isolated his whole life, I guess it's going to be awkward to be in those small times that you are around people. You might just not know how to act.
So he has like sort of a social disability in that essence, because like you said, his mom would not let him hang out with anybody. I mean, she pretty much kept him and his brother Henry at home. You can go to school, but come home. So that makes sense that he would be, I would say he's quirky, but we all know he's far more than fucking quirky. It goes beyond that. But to laugh at yourself, to be a kid that's just like, oh, I'm a little bit weird. I get that. I was kind of weird as a kid, but not weird in that way. But I had quirks, we all do.
I just wonder if it was like he laughed sometimes to himself, or was he like that creepy kid in the back of the room, always laughing to himself the whole time? And everyone's just staring at him like, what's going on?
Yeah,
that's different.
There's no photos of him as a kid, but I imagine as a kid he was the creepy kid in the back of the class.
Probably so. But again, not to defend Ed, but his mom being the way that she was with him definitely did not help his self-esteem in any bit. Like he was going to be the weirdo for sure. Yeah,
he was. And things changed for Ed. So in 1940, Ed's father died at the age of 66 from heart failure. It's thought to be through heavy drinking. This actually spurred the boys to go out into the world and go and get jobs. So they would do odd jobs for people, and they were well thought of in the community. They were deemed as honest and trustworthy. Ed would babysit for his neighbours and said to have a fantastic bond with children. It wasn't long when they were out in the world that his brother started dating, and he was dating a divorced mother of two and planned moving in with her. Henry often spoke of his concerns of Ed's relationship with his mother. and would effectively speak out to Ed and basically say, look, you need to stop hanging off of mummy's coattails. You need to,
let's just say tit.
Yeah, I was going there, but I decided not to.
Well, I'm going to go there.
That's what I was expecting to hear.
You got it.
Yeah, I tried to keep it a little bit highbrow, but no, yeah, he told her to stop sucking on mummy's titty.
Yeah.
This led, in my opinion, to the death of Ed's brother. On the 16th of May, 1944, Ed and Henry were burning some unwanted trees and bushes from the farm. The fire got out of control and the fire department were called. The fire department arrived, put out the fire, and the fire was completely out when they left. Later that evening, Ed reported his brother missing, sparking a search on the property. His brother was found laying face down, apparently had been dead for some time when he was located. His death was declared as an accident, and heart failure was listed on the cause of death. Despite heavy bruising to his head, no foul play was assumed or investigated. I'm going to ask you both, did Ed kill his brother?
Yes,
absolutely, because Henry was the only one that would stand up to Augusta, right? Ed did not stand up to his mother, and he just was coddled by her. So for him, it was like, I need to get this person out of the picture. And I also think that because of the time era being in the 1950s like that, they didn't investigate too deep into like what could have actually happened to his brother. It was, we found him face down in water. So they think he asphyxiated or whatever. He choked to death or drowned. So it's like, really? Y'all ain't ask Ed? Because he real suspect. But they didn't. It was just like Ed and mommy forever is tattooed on his heart.
Yeah, and when Ed went to the authorities, like he said he didn't know where his brother was, yet when the authorities came with him, he knew exactly where to show them where the body was. So he knew where the body was the whole time. That's for
sure. And
yes.
I don't know if it was a side of the times that the police went, okay, you probably killed him, but it was probably something personal, so it's fine. It was natural.
I mean,
maybe.
Who knows?
That's how it worked back then.
It was a small town in the 1950s. Could the sheriff of that town actually be bothered? Was he really that worried? Is it that?
Probably not. I mean, it was a small town. They really probably thought it was an accident. Like they were burning vegetation off of the field and everything. So he could have just thought something bad happened. He hit his head, whatever. But no, we know Ed did it.
Yeah,
Ed did it.
I polled this on Instagram as well, and 90% of the people who answered the poll said that Ed killed his brother.
Oh, wow.
The other 10%, I don't think know anything about the case. They just picked one.
Right, we're going to pick no.
I'm just wondering if his mother knew about it. Like if she knew that he killed the brother, did she possibly know anything or push him in that direction? Because maybe she was upset that he was with some divorced woman now.
That's always a secondary theory, though. That makes. I'm glad you brought that up because
I never thought of that either.
We don't know. I mean, mommy could have been like encouraging for that to happen without actually saying, go kill your brother, but like make him disappear. Like, it be me and you together forever. Like mommy forever instead of Nicole forever. So,
like your brother's not following the Bible.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's very possible, especially with the passages that she would have been reading. It's very much your brother's now evil. Your brother is the devil. You need to do something about it. Yeah, it's very true. I'm glad you picked that up. That's a fantastic spot.
Yeah.
Going on to Ed's mother. So Augusta had a stroke shortly after Henry's death, leaving her partially paralyzed. Now, Ed devoted his entire life from this point to his mother. She had an encounter at a neighbour's property in 1945 that would cause her to have a secondary stroke and eventually pass away. This encounter, and this has come straight out of the words of Ed Gein, this is his recounting of it. He and his mother went to visit a neighbour called Smith and witnessed him beating a dog. While this was happening, a lady came out of the property and demanded that Smith stop beating the animal. Smith beat the dog to death. Now, that's horrific to witness, but Augusta didn't have an issue with the dog being beaten. She had a problem with the woman being in the house not being Smith's wife. And she said to Ed that she had no business being there and she was nothing more than Smith's harlot. I'm just, how can that be your takeaway from watching a dog getting beaten to death? That woman's a harlot. What?
Because I think that Ed's mom was a bit of a sadist, regardless of the Lutheran background and the religious background. Okay, that does not take away from the fact that you can be totally fucking crazy or anything else, or have these. I mean, the fact that she's fine with seeing a dog get beat to death, but you're worried about some woman being in the house, like, so you didn't mind seeing that dog die?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. Yes, it's a big problem.
So I get big Kathy Bates in the Water Boy vibes off of Augusta. She really is. That girl is the devil. Foosball. Yeah. Foosball is the devil.
I forbid you to talk to that enchantress. She's the devil.
That's
everything's the devil.
Yeah.
Everything's bad. Yes.
Yeah, that's how I see her in my head. She is that Kathy Bates character. After her death, so when she died, so she died shortly after this incident, and Ed said that this incident was one of the things that he think tipped her over the point that she could take no more with the world, which is insane. So an unmarried couple was enough to push her into the grave. But after this, Ed was on his own, and I'm going to go out and say it straight away. Ed went crazy pretty quick.
Oh yeah. For sure.
He boarded up all of the rooms in the house that were used by his mother. So the entirety of the upstairs was boarded up, the downstairs parlor and living room too. And that was left completely untouched as his mother died. That's how it was found when the police arrived there later. Ed lived in a small room off the kitchen, and the house just descended into filth really, really quick.
It was nasty.
It was very nasty. Around this time, it's believed that Ed also started reading stories involving cannibals and Nazi atrocities, which this is not the first case we've done where they read Nazi atrocities before they went and done nasty things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Henley.
Yeah. Ed still completed jobs as a handyman to earn money. And between 1945 and 1956, he sold his brother's 80-acre stake of the property, so he didn't have to work anymore. So he'd done that to basically keep him indoors. This is the point of the show where I'd normally go into the murders that were committed and the timeline of those murders, but this case is really not that clean cut. So I'm going to start simple with what led to Gein's arrest and the search of his property. And we'll kind of work backwards from there. So on the 16th of November, a hardware store, Bernice Warden, disappeared. The store was quiet because it was hunting season. Everyone was kind of out hunting, so there wasn't a lot going on. But she was eventually reported missing. Her son, who was the deputy sheriff, Frank Warden, was the first on the scene, finding the register open and bloodstains on the floor. Frank told investigators that Gein had been to the store the day before his mother disappeared, and then returned the following morning and bought a gallon of antifreeze. They found a receipt in the hardware store to prove that this was fact, and that was enough for them to arrest Gein, just under suspicion that he may know something. And in the arrest, that led them to get a search warrant for the Gein's family home. Buckle up.
I ain't scared.
This is for listeners. If listeners have no idea what's about to come, just make sure you're sat down and you've got a drink in your hand.
It's pretty gruesome. It's pretty gruesome, you guys.
So on arrival, police found a decapitated body of Bernice hung upside down in the shed with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrist. She'd be dressed out in the same way that a hunter would dress a deer. She'd also been shot with a .22 caliber rifle. All of the mutilation was deemed to happen after she had died. The police then went into the house and started searching the house. I'm just going to run through a list of some of the stuff they found. So they found whole human bones and fragments, a wastebasket made of human skin, a human skin covered several chairs that are covered in human skin, skulls for bedposts, female skulls, bowls made of human skulls, a corset made from a female torso, skin from the shoulders to the waist, leggings made from human skin, a mask made from the skin of female heads, Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag. I'll come back to Mary Hogan in a minute. Mary Hogan's skull in a box, Bernice Warden's entire head in a burlap sack, Bernice Warden's heart in a plastic bag in front of the potbelly stove. So we're assuming that was dinner. 9 vulva in a shoebox, a young girl's dress and the vulvas of 2 females judged to have been about 15 years old, a belt made from human nipples, 4 noses, a pair of lips on a window shade drawstring, a lampshade made from the skin of a human face, fingernails from female fingers. Anyone want to take it?
Well, he's got a very natural sense of style now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awful. But I mean, come on, Weronika, like that shit's, I ain't trying to wear no belt with no nipples on it. I ain't trying to mess with nobody's vulva. I haven't even heard that word. I didn't even know what that was at first. Then I was like, oh, I got that. I know what it is. Scott's using fancy vagina words.
Yeah, but why is he keeping 9 of them in a box?
I don't know. I think he was like trying them on to see how they look on him or something like that. On top of his little suit he would put on.
He kept his mommies, right? His mommies was spray painted silver because she was special. Like he carved out her vagina, spray painted it silver. And I'm kind of like, why did he go for the gold? Why is she silver?
Oh no.
Now,
I heard there was other stuff like pairs of dentures, like jars of gum. They don't know if it was his gum or random gum he just found and collected. All that weird stuff. I don't know.
He nasty.
This is literally a house of horrors. And for the detectives who first walked into that house, they must have walked in, opened the door and gone, oh, fuck.
I can't imagine in the 1950s, even though it was like, what was it, like 1957, correct? Yeah. Okay, so it's like almost the 60s, but I can't imagine they've never seen anything like that. And even crimes today, can you imagine a seasoned police officer walking into a house of horror? Because that's like, this is worse than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like that was just a little bit. What the fuck?
Yeah, and I heard like when the detectives like walked in, it was dark and something was swinging and like hit them, and that was her body. That was Bernice's body, and I was just like,
"Fuck yeah, I'm a quit."
And if you think about it, they didn't have movies like how we have nowadays with all the gore and everything, so they weren't prepared for that. They really weren't prepared.
No, they had no preparation at all. And one thing I found that was crazy, because all this stuff was so horrific. All of the artifacts were photographed and then they were instantly destroyed. They were disposed of. They were never held in evidence. All of these body parts were destroyed after they'd been photographed, because the person leading the investigation went, this has all got to go.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to keep any of it. I guess I get keeping it long enough for the evidential stuff, but do you need a belt made with nipples? Are you out?
No,
so probably not.
It's not on the top of my head.
So
I'm just thinking, like, couldn't they have like DNA tested it or something to see like where these things like?
I think it predates.
Where are they all from? Yeah,
I think it predates a lot of what they could have done. I mean, now
if they would have saved it, then
if they'd have saved it now with the technology we've got now, every single one of his victims could have been identified, or every one of the bodies could have been identified easily.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So they weren't thinking, they were in a little bitty town. It was just like, we got to clean this shit up and get the fuck out of here. Bye.
What I found really crazy though was when Gein was presented with this, what they had found, you'd expect a killer to kind of go, oh no, how did that get there? Oh, it must have been, or at least try and make some kind of pretense. He just admitted it straight away, and then went on to admit upwards of 40 visits to local graveyards to exhume bodies. On about 30 of these visits, Gein claims to have come back empty-handed because he went into a trance and he didn't know what he was doing, and then he would snap out of his trance before he took anything and go home. Now, one of the things I saw online is a lot of people deemed that, or there's a couple of theories that deem he was possessed. So I threw this out to Instagram and asked, was it a possibility he was possessed? Any idea what the poll come back as?
High.
Yes.
I mean, probably the percentage is high. I mean, I know what it came back as. But I'm gonna play stupid. Let me play stupid. I don't know nothing. But no, high.
Yeah, 91% said no,
Yeah.
he was definitely not possessed. But there are 9% of people out there who thought that he might be.
I mean, I'm glad that they didn't think he was possessed, because I want to say something, this to deal with mental health. Like, I think then that would have made more sense for someone to think that someone was possessed because they had such a severe mental health issue that they're acting weird and crazy, and something that you would think possession would take over your body. Like, he had schizophrenia. Okay. I don't know if you've ever been around anybody that's schizophrenic. Look up the symptoms, look up how they act, and it can be terrifying. So yeah, for someone to say he was possessed, that makes sense for that time error, but that is not what was wrong with him.
Still a theory today. Still people,
Yeah,
still
well,
blogs
I
that
mean,
claim.
you never know who's possessed when and why.
Well, this is true.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know.
So Gein went on to confessing to robbing 9 graves in total. And then he proceeded to lead investigators to all 9 sites. He also admitted to the murder of Mary Hogan, who they found body parts in his home. She was a local tavern owner who went missing in 1954. Gein was suspected of further murders, but never confessed to any more than 2. Do we think he killed more people?
Yes.
I think so, but at the same time, I'm going to throw this out here. Okay, I do think that he killed more people, because you have the 2. He's kind of like, they're implying that he killed the 2 women and his brother. Now, mostly his crimes seem to be that he went and dug up graves and stole the bodies that were already deceased, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't make it any better, but
No, it's definitely not better.
He didn't kill all of those people, right? He just needed to get his collection for fall.
Yeah.
That's my bad joke. Sorry. You have to make it
really
funny.
thinking that way, though.
I mean, seriously, he's like, what'll go good with my handbag and my shoesies?
I need 30 nipples to make a belt.
Right? You got to have 30 to make the belt right, Scott. Anyways, but regardless, yes, I'm pretty positive because of the time frame. He could have easily killed more people, and it could have been covered up easier. Like, it wouldn't have been like so blatantly known that he killed someone. I mean, he had so many dead corpses in his house. So who's to say? I don't know.
There was 4 people that some people think he might have killed, which was an 8-year-old girl, Giorgio Weckler, in May 1947, that went missing and they never found her. And then there was a teenager, Evelyn Hartley, who was a babysitter. She went missing in 1953, and they just found like her bloody clothes, never found her body. And then there was 2 men that went missing, Victor Travis and Ray Bergs, that just went missing after they got out of a local bar. So I think those are possibilities. I don't know about the 2 men, but maybe.
I was going to say that, because my thing was, I was going to ask you this, Weronika. You know, he killed his brother, but we kind of figure out why he killed his brother. Like, obviously, to be with his mother, have her alone. But it wouldn't make as much sense to me personally that he would kill other men. Now, the 2 women, the little girl and the younger girl, that makes sense. I think he had this affliction towards women.
Yeah.
So he wasn't out killing men, so to speak.
Yeah. He had serious mummy issues. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So I polled this as well. 83% think he killed more. I think he did as well. But there are people who don't, and I kind of get why they don't, because at this point he's confessed to pretty much everything. He's confessed to enough to go to the electric chair. He's confessed to enough. So at this point he hasn't really got anything to lose. So I understand why people may think that he did only kill 2. One thing I want to touch on is the skin suit. So After his mother passed, Ed started creating a female suit, which he intended to wear to effectively become his mother. Thoughts on this?
I mean, I don't need to make any more distasteful jokes. Veronika.
I mean, I don't know if he was trying to be his mother and trying to build like a skin suit of, his mother, or he just wanted to be a woman, or he just wanted to be a woman because his mother always wanted a girl, not a boy. Like she wanted her second child to be a girl, not a boy.
Yes,
so
she did.
It might have been one of those, or he was just because he was like so sheltered from sex. Maybe he just developed all these weird fetish fantasies around it that caused him to play them out in that kind of thing. Plus schizophrenia is like a bad combination.
Yeah, it's not the best combo.
And I think he was sexually aroused by, because there was something I read where him seeing an animal being hurt, or like his mother like killing an animal. I don't know if it was for their food, or something, but it was like it aroused him to see the kind of like weird violent, that's very violent. And the skin suit, I think it could be a combination of all. Me personally, I think that he missed his mom and he just was like more so like, I need to be a part of her. I need to be in her, but like, this is the weirdest way to be close to your mother. But I don't like nobody that much at all. Don't keep your skin, hunties. I ain't taking it. I don't want it.
Do you know the crazy thing that after he confessed to everything, all of his confession was deemed inadmissible? So during questioning, the sheriff, Art Shuley, lost his temper and smashed Gein's face into a wall repeatedly, which then all of the confession was deemed that it couldn't be used. So they had to they got the confession again. So after they'd beaten him up, they got another sheriff to go in there who then, Ed Gein, told them it all again. But Shuley died of heart failure 1968 before the trial. And his friends put it down to the stress and trauma caused by Gein. And he's often deemed as the victim who Gein killed without touching him.
Well, I mean, I guess, but like he already confessed. And look, he didn't have a problem with confessing. From what I'm understanding and what I'm remembering from reading, like it was just like, I did this. See my collection?
Right. And I understand. Yeah. And I understand why people might think that he didn't kill more people because he was so easy to confess. But at the same time, Bernice's warden's body was in his house and he knew that. And then the other lady, Mary Hogan, her face was in his house. So he had to confess to those two. But he didn't have to confess to random little body parts that I don't know what happened with the bigger portion of the body, whether he ate them or not. I guess that's up for debate if he ever ate them or not.
I don't know that he was cannibalistic. I'm not sure that I got that so much as it was more of this weird sexual thing than it was like, of course, we don't want to get too much into cannibals because we'll eventually get there at some point, Scott. I know we will. But I mean, I'm not so sure that he really ate the people because you never really read anything about that. So I don't know.
I think with I think with the cannibal side of it is it's something that they'll never be able to prove. And that's one thing that I don't think he ever would confess to. If he's done that, that takes it to a whole nother level. And he might just deem these people as food. It might be a case of, did it even come up in conversation? In 1957, did that even cross the investigator's mind to ask that question?
Probably not. I mean, I'm not sure that they would be that knowledgeable of cannibalism.
I think they found articles about cannibalism in his house, though. So they might have asked. But also, what I heard was that he didn't hunt. He wasn't a part of deer hunting. Yet he had often gifted people with like venison meat. And I'm just thinking, was that really venison, or was it just something else?
That was somebody's ass.
Yeah.
Like, no ass is for dinner. What's for dinner? It's not beef.
Oh, no.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe at some point he got curious. Like you said, he could have gotten curious and thought, I'm going to read these books on cannibalism and maybe I will try the meat. Like maybe he was going to build himself up to try it, because Jeffrey Dahmer did not eat his victims right at first either. Not at first immediately. You know, it was sexual in nature, and then it became, now I want to try. So we don't, you know, Ed, I don't think he got an opportunity to eat anybody. That's not funny. Sorry. I'm just saying. Anyways.
Yeah, quickly moving on. As I've said before, we don't normally dive into trials because they're long and boring. And let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, they're dull as fuck. I'm going to make an exception because this is the easiest trial to cover and I could do it in about 2 minutes. So 1957, Ed pleaded not guilty on the grounds of insanity. He was tested. At this point, he was found to be schizophrenic and he was deemed unfit for trial. It wasn't until 1968 that doctors deemed that he was well enough to assist in his own defence. And he, at his request, he was tried without a jury. So he was only tried in front of a judge. He was found not guilty for the reason of insanity and committed to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. I don't know how I feel about him not guilty. He should be guilty, but he is insane. I don't think... I find it mind-boggling that he's not guilty on the grounds of insanity.
I didn't even know that. I thought he was. Subject. I thought he was guilty. No, he wasn't.
No, he was found not guilty.
He spent the rest of his remaining years until he died in an insane asylum, or
right.
That's not the right verbiage, but so no, he never went to actual jail, like to prison or whatever.
No, I knew that. I just assumed, I guess, that they did find him guilty, but they put him in the
that they found him not guilty on the grounds of insanity. And I think this is a strange way of interpreting the law. Yes, he's insane and needs to be locked up, but he's still guilty of these crimes, whether he's insane or not.
No, he is.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I feel like because it was 1957 going into the early 60s, that was just something that you're talking about, this little bitty town where they just are assuming that this person is just, they're so mentally unwell. Like, how can you convict them? Right? Like, I would say he is very guilty. And I think he very much knew what the fuck he was doing, but because he had
at least
such
to some extent.
Exactly. Maybe he did black out, or maybe he did have episodes where he hallucinated. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't know anybody that is. I've only read about it, and I know it's very severe mental illness. So it'd be very easy for him to go to a different place in his mind where he doesn't know what is reality and what's not.
Yeah.
But again, he's living in this every day. You have body parts and all kinds of just gross stuff in your house. You can't say you don't know at all what's going on when you're not when you're not having your insane fit. Mm-hmm. So that's my thing. It's like he did know, but I think they couldn't. I don't think there was enough for them to do anything.
I've said this before. The American justice system is just an absolute mystery to me.
We'll agree. I'll agree. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Gein eventually died in 1984 of respiratory failure. Mm-hmm. Before we dive into some more on the case, we're going to take a little bit of a break. As you all know, last month we debuted our first quiz, which is Know This Crime. We're going to do it again. Veronika's going to be our unwilling participant.
I wasn't warned.
No, you weren't.
No, you're not going to be.
you don't need to be, because it's all based around this case. I hope so fuck you studied. Get ready to play along at home. Know This Crime! Can you beat the quiz? So there's 13 questions. There's 10 points per question. If you get one wrong, the game's over, but you get whatever you keep. So if you get 5 questions right and then you get one wrong, you get 50 points, and that's where you sit. And all it does is it shows how much research you've put in. And I know you've put in a lot, so you should be
I'm worried. I'm very concerned.
No, you should be fine. Me and Heather are going to take turns at quizzing you. Heather, I'm going to let you kick it off first, so you can go with question number 1.
All right. Question number 1. What was the name of Ed Gein's brother?
It was Henry.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That is
Okay, I was like, wait.
Actually, the
I'm
answer.
gonna get it wrong.
Oh, I'm gonna call Scott
Yeah, you're
out
going
real
to call
quick.
me out.
He put the wrong name and it confused me for a second, and I was like, God damn it!
Oh.
But no, Veronica,
like,
you're
wait,
very
did I get
right.
it wrong?
Yeah, you're correct. However, the answer I
Really
wrote for
bad
Heather
with
was wrong.
names.
Question number 2. How many murders did Gein confess to?
2.
Correct.
Great. You're going to do awesome. So question number 3. What did investigators find in a bag in front of Gein's potbelly stove?
Was it the heart of Bernice?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Well, so that's 30 points. So question number 4. What was Ed Gein's belt made from?
Nipples.
It was made from nipples.
Yes. No, I can't. Anyway, we're going to question 5 for Veronica. What year did Ed's brother die?
Oh. No. I don't think I know that one.
You just try guess. It's fine.
1945?
So close, but that's not the correct answer.
Oops.
It was 1944.
You were close,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
So you're on 40 points. So yeah, you've done really well. Really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
yeah. I was
bad
fixing
with
to say,
dates, so.
I wouldn't have remembered that either, so don't feel bad at all.
No, the date, to be fair, in this quiz, the date ones are the hardest, especially on a case like this where when you investigate, the dates are just, everything's a date.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to pick a question further down that wasn't date related, I guarantee you'd know it straight away. For example,
she probably would have gotten every question. Like the dates are confusing too, because there's so many of them throughout the entire crime history.
And close together. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think if I was to say to you, Augusta was religious, but what book of the Bible did she read to her boys?
Book of Revelations.
Exactly. So literally anyone that's not date related is really easy to get through.
Yeah, they are. They are.
What I want to go on to now is after Ed's death. So the sale of goods that followed Ed's death. So his house went up for auction, and every crazy person, weird collector come out of the woodwork because they thought they were buying the house with all of the contents, but they weren't. It had all been destroyed. And before it went to auction, it mysteriously burnt down.
Yep, 10 days before it was supposed to go to auction.
So what happened, there was a fire that started around about 75, 80 foot from the property, that where cleanup crews were disposing of rubbish, there was a fire that spread out there. Now, the fire didn't have any path from there to the house, but that was deemed as what caused the fire. Now, what I think is a bit strange here is the person who was the fire chief at the time was Frank Warden. And if you remember, he was a deputy sheriff and the son of one of the victims. He was the first on the scene. I think he burnt down the Gein house, and I've got no issue with him doing that. But I think
I would
buy it. Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, I can't think of another explanation. When Gein was told in the asylum what had happened, I would have expected him to be really upset, but he wasn't. He shrugged his shoulders and went just as well.
Well, I mean, at that point, you think about it being in there, maybe he was starting to get like some help, like maybe they were doing something with him to where maybe he was a little more rational, where it was like, I don't want memories of that shit. I don't know why I did all that, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want y'all to tell me again.
No,
I heard he was really good in the mental hospital. Like he was a very well-behaved patient and
good behavior.
Except when there was a full moon. They say he would act up and retell tales of what he liked to do to the dead ladies.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I read.
Wow.
But you don't know the tale of the full moon. It all turns us into werewolves. Like, come on. Makes us all crazy.
The full moon genuinely does have an effect on people. I will attest to that. Full moon people behave
I think it does.
strangely.
That's
And
because
for
we're
women-
like 70% water and the moon like pulls water, makes the tide rise.
We start doing weird shit with our bodies. I don't know.
Ed's house wasn't the only thing that was auctioned. So Ed's car that he used to transport the bodies from the cemetery and potentially his victims had a stint in a local carnival where it traveled the country. People were charged 25 cents to go and look at the car. The carnival owner fell on hard times, and he sold it for $760, which is about $7,500 in today's money, taking into account inflation. It goes to show you that serial killer memorabilia, even in the 1950s, was incredibly sought after.
Yeah, I bet. Look, I love serial killer facts and I love true crime, but I don't want any of the stuff. I mean, I have some
that
books.
bad juju in your house.
I don't want that vulva in my house. No, thank you, ma'am. I'm good. I don't care what color it is. I just don't want the nipple belt. I know people like Bundy and other Manson shit, like all that shit. People want to keep like, no, I don't. Thank you.
How do you
I'll read about it.
Will you collect things like that, Veronica? Because I've got some odd stuff. I've got a couple of haunted dolls.
I wouldn't collect body parts.
Like artifacts, maybe.
Maybe some artifacts. I'm not sure. I would have to depend on like if I'm really a fan of this killer. And you know, serial killers have a lot of fans and a lot of people like
they do
them in jail. They want to marry them, and I'm just impressive.
I think to want to marry or even to write to a serial killer and give that serial killer your home address is a really bold, brave move, because I would not do that. What if they ever got out? Where are they coming? No. Who does
coming to their new wifey's house?
Exactly.
I don't get the appeal of any woman ever wanting to, because it's like, first of all, if you marry somebody that's like currently alive and they are in jail for being a serial murderer or whatever, they don't do conjugal visits. I don't think that's even a thing, probably pretty much anywhere. Now I could be wrong. I don't know for sure.
Still do in some places.
Well, but let's just say that they don't in the places that they're at. Look what y'all gonna do. Like, whoop, nip slip. Like, what's gonna happen? There's nothing's going to, like, what are you gonna do? Send them a selfie of your vulva? Get out of here.
That's your new favorite word, vulva.
It's my new favorite word. I would change my podcast to Vulva Wednesday Wine or something stupid like that.
Wednesday Wine and Vulva.
Exactly.
That's really scaring me, actually. But mine's going to be gold plated, anyways. Continue.
Yeah. The thing is, there were lots of fans. Even so, in the year 2000, Ed was buried on the family plot, and in the year 2000, his headstone was stolen. And the headstone was recovered about a year later. And it's now actually in a museum, and the grave is left unmarked. It's still known where it is because it's on the family plot. But that
Next to mommy.
Yeah, but they took the headstone away to stop fans and true crime enthusiasts from visiting the gravesite.
They're probably trying to like maybe sell
now
it.
That I would have done.
Yeah, that you definitely would have done.
I definitely would have
done. Into a little bit of input from the listeners this week. So we've got a real. There's lots in here that I didn't know. So Skellington fan. Gein was a great babysitter, which I mentioned earlier. He was deemed as friendly and reliable by everyone he babysat for. Heather, you've got kids and I've got kids. Would you let Ed Gein babysit for you?
No, I don't let nobody babysit my kids. They ain't even serial killer. Look, this is my thing. Like, I made these little bastards, right? I brought them into this world. I have never hired a babysitter, to be honest with you. And they're older now, but I've never hired had a babysitter other than like my grandmother or my mom, like close family, not friends, because fuck them. I don't know them. I don't know.
See,
so no.
I wouldn't either, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say if I did, Ed Gein wouldn't last 5 minutes with my kids.
No, your kids would kill him. Yeah. They cut his vulva off.
Yeah, he would leave. He'd be like,
don't even have a vulva.
Pretty Killer podcast. He had nipple belts, human lampshades, and a skull bowls. Now, this raised more questions for me. The more I looked at it, so I get it. It's horrible. It's atrocious, and he's done these horrible things. But why did he turn them into furniture? This is where I get really stuck. At what point did he go, oh, do you know what? Jenny, who I killed, she'd look really good as a table lamp. At what point did that go through his head that all of a sudden these people become ornaments?
That's maybe a loaded question.
Maybe all those magazines he was reading, one like a architecture magazine or furniture design one just fell in there and he just clumped it all together, did some artistic stuff. He was trying to be a creative guy.
Maybe he liked the soft, smooth feeling of skin chairs. I don't know.
No.
Like, I just, my thing is at this point, because he's such in a psychosis, right? He's not normal. At this point, maybe it was just like to have like the memory of everything there, right? Which is why a lot of serial killers, especially cannibals, they keep parts of their victims and eat them so they're inside of them. They become a part of them. So for me, I think he just wanted to collect it. It was almost like, you know what? I need all of this stuff. And like I said, his interior decorating style sucked dick. He should have hired somebody. That's not the way to go, people. Don't do that.
Yeah. Also, though, I know he was into like Nazi Germany and the concentration camps and reading about that. And I know they did kind of similar stuff. Like they made soap from human bodies and stuff. Yes. So maybe he was like going off of that or something.
I think it's just, I think you're right. It's a combination of just a little bit of everything. We can't ask Ed, why the fuck you do this, Ed?
No,
because he did.
The thing is, lots of people did ask Ed lots of questions, and there's lots of transcripts of where he's been interviewed and he's been given various tests, and he never really divulges why. He tells you what he's done in great detail. Some of the things I've read, he's very descriptive in what he done and how he done it. But when people ask him why, he just kind of skims over it.
Maybe that's a part of it. Maybe that's a question that he himself just can't answer. Like maybe he doesn't even know why. And it felt good in the moment. I mean, that's just a really loaded question, Scott. It's really, I think for us, no matter how much you research, it's just something that if he can't even answer it, the person that committed the crimes, then it's going to be hard for us to probably try, maybe make an attempt at answering it because we don't know. Like, who's to say why he did what he did?
Yeah, it's definitely, I can't work out why.
He also had like a really weird sense of humor because I know when Mary Hogan went missing and people like at the bar were asking like, oh, you know, I wonder where she is, or I wonder who like killed her, because obviously it was like a bloody scene and everything. I know he told people at the bar, he was like, oh, she's not missing, she's at my place, and everyone kind of laughed it off like he was joking, but in the end he wasn't even joking. So
wow, that's chilling.
I think he wanted people to know, but they didn't take him serious, right, Weronika? It was almost sort of like, oh, he's crazy, whatever. He's like the town crazy, like in Ralph in Friday the 13th, right? He's like the Ralph of the town.
A lot of people had a very dark sense of humor back in the day. Like it was more common than it is nowadays.
Probably.
So it wasn't taken as seriously.
Yeah, and that's probably all it was. And so there, you know, now he gets to keep her in his house because nobody took him serious.
Wow. Landman is here to save the day. Slayer made a song about him called Dead Skin Mask, which I would listen to. I'm not a fan of Slayer. I'm definitely not a fan of that song.
Slayer. I don't know.
Yeah. If you like that kind of music, you'll know about it. But yeah, it wasn't for me. A Swedish horror nerd. What fascinates me is the female aspects. Lots of his suits were made from females. I understand he became obsessed with his mother, and wanted to be her. He was sexually assaulted by his mother at age 10, I believe. So I didn't find that anywhere where I investigated. I
didn't either. I know we talked about this off camera or whatever, before we recorded. And I did bring up something where I was kind of like, his mom was very abusive to him, but there was never anything that I've ever read or seen in a documentary that put her to doing anything sexual to him. Could it have happened? Possibly. Again, maybe.
I just feel like she was maybe too religious for that, and she looked down upon sex anyway. And I don't even think she had a lot of sex with her husband. So I don't think that was so.
Yeah.
See, it could go either way. I guess it's sort of like you could think that wanting to be in the skin suit, it's because of the sexual weird thing, right? Or like Weronika says, she was basically like, she did not, sex was bad. Okay. Because every woman was a whore. Everything was evil and nasty and dirty. So yeah, that would make sense, because why would she, again, she had sex with her husband enough to have the 2 children, and that was it.
Yeah. Just out of a sense of duty, because she wanted her kids, and that was it.
She hated her husband. She hated her husband anyway. So
we've also had TikTok weighed in on the parade, which they've not done for a while. We've got Punk Arana. He made a female skin suit out of flesh, fed neighbours human flesh under the guise of deer meat, only murdered a handful of victims and was mostly a grave robber. Not to mention the horrible interior he made from bodies, or how his last victim was strung up like a deer carcass. Sorry, I researched this case a lot in my younger years.
It's okay.
It's fine. Firstly, I'm curious as to why, so please let me know why you investigated this in your younger years. But he's brought up the deer meat there, that which you mentioned as well, Weronika. Is that?
Yeah.
Do we think that is a thing? Did he actually do that? Could you do that to your neighbours? Could you cut someone up and go, I've just hunted a deer, try some of it?
It was less obvious than giving them a gift like a nipple belt, for example.
Thank you.
They would have definitely figured out something was wrong if he gave them that instead. So.
He gave them meat, and deer meat, I don't like it. It's disgusting to me. Like, I don't eat it because it's too gamey for me. But I would feel like you could pass it off as be like, I would just kill this deer. Wink, wink.
Oh, no.
But it's not. It's not. I wouldn't do it. I don't like a lot of people, but I'm not going to give them human meat.
No, which leads on to the cannibal thing. I'm quietly confident the fact they found the heart by the stove.
He was going to.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a snack.
Maybe that was his attempt. Like, he was fixing to dive into the cannibal side of it. And maybe he just didn't get into it because he got caught. Like, it was like, all right, the gig is up. I don't know.
The thing is, though, so he confessed to going to grave sites over 40 times to dig up bodies. Yeah. And he said that he only done it on 9 occasions. I can't believe that he went 40 times and only done it once, or only done it 9 times.
No, he went all the damn time.
That. Like, he had to do it more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's many body parts and stuff.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. There was too much stuff in his house for only...
I've seen the pictures, like from watching a documentary and stuff that I found on YouTube, actually. And it's like real grainy VHS quality, but still, like, you see it and you're like, oh, there's like a million people in here. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I just don't understand what drives someone to do that and then continue to do it. I understand where he was isolated. He was in a very good spot to do it. And that's why this inspired things like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that's set on an isolated farm where people don't go there. And I get that. But if you look at everything that led up to before his mum died, do we think he was doing this before his mum died, or is this purely something that he's done after his mum passed away?
I think after. I mean, the brother was before, but I believe everything else started after, because I guess he just didn't have mother's control over him anymore. And he was just like, let's let loose. But he really let loose, like, above and beyond.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let loose after a relative dies is a horrible thing, but go and have a drink. go and do whatever you need to.
I mean, you mourn, right? You grieve for them, but you don't start making belts with titty nipples and vulva. I just can't stop thinking about the vulva thing.
What, 9 vulvas in a box?
You know, his ass had more than 9. That's just all they found in the box. But that's my thing too. Like Weronika said, I think that because his mom had such a tight control over him, obviously he couldn't, how do you say this in a 2022 term, live his best life, right? Like he wasn't able to. He had to wait till she died, get the brother out of the way. That was one thing. Let her die. And then it was like his fantasy. You know, he was still able to keep a part of his mother, though granted, not a part that you want to keep of mom.
No,
but,
definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, like he had her close with him though. So it was okay that she died in his mind, I think.
Yeah, it's not the best life anyway. I don't recommend this as the best life for anyone to go and pursue.
No, unless you're Ed Gein.
Yeah,
I think he didn't know how to really live his best life though, because he was so closed off from the world for so long. He didn't know what normal was. Like that wasn't instilled in him as a child, so he didn't know what normal was.
No,
that's very true.
He needed TikTok because then he could follow you and he could see the Beetlejuice bar you went to, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I watch your stuff, see it on Instagram. I guess I don't really get on TikTok, but I know you can share it on Instagram, and then I can still see it
on Instagram. Yeah,
I'll have to go check you out.
Yeah,
damn it, I'll have to get on fucking TikTok again.
the Beetlejuice bar is amazing. I think that would have satisfied a chunk of Gein's issues. A trip to the Beetlejuice bar could have saved lives.
It could have.
Anyway, we're back again on the 1st of July. Me and Heather talk more about Ed. We're going to go into his mother's religion, his obsession with mummy. We're also going to give you a rundown of what to watch, movie-wise, documentaries, other stuff that you can go and find that will help you learn more about Ed and his wonderful ways. Weronika, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to see your face. I am. I haven't seen you in a really long time.
I
know. You need to tell everyone where they can go and find you as well.
Where they could find me. They can find me on TikTok at Horror Viking 313. They can find me on Instagram at Horror Viking and YouTube Horror Viking.
And I suggest anyone who's got any interest in true crime or the paranormal or anything like that, Veronika's accounts literally have you covered in a way that no one else's accounts do. And we said at the beginning how Veronika's gone from getting a couple of hundred views to being huge on TikTok, and there's a reason for that. So go and give her a follow and you will not regret it.
She's so cool. She gets to visit all these really cool places and travel. I'm super jelly of that because I'm like, I want to go to the Lizzie Borden house. Like, I want to go to these places. One day I will. But yes, go follow her or you're going to get a nipple belt possibly sent to you. I threaten every time.
Visit you in Louisiana one day.
Yes. Come visit us. Hey, we have Myrtle's Plantation. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool place. So,
exactly.
Did you just announce our first giveaway? Are we doing a nipple belt giveaway?
Not my nipples. I only got 2.
Or a vulva giveaway.
A vulva.
You ain't getting my vulva. I gotta keep that in my nipples. I only got 2. We have to collect all the listeners' nipples. Like, can we have them? Okay, guys. Sorry.
Heather, do not say send us your nipples because you know what our inboxes are going to do now.
I don't know. I'm going to delete them. I don't. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. Please.
I'm going to be like, was it me?
Yeah. I do not want to see anyone who wants to send nipple pics. Please send them straight to Heather, which is at Wednesday Wine and Horror.
Send it to me. I don't give a fuck. I'll be screenshotting and then I'll put it on social media. I'll be like, somebody's nipples. No. Don't do it. You guys, seriously, please don't send me anything of your body. Okay. Keep your body to your own body. And whoever wants to look at it, I don't.
And if you do decide you can't get over the urge to do it now, make sure it goes to Heather and not to me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you again, Weronika, for coming on.
Thank you.
Heather, sign us off.
I'm going to sign you bitches off. All right. Thank y'all for listening to another episode of True Crime. And I have a little PSA for y'all, okay? PSAs are very important. If you are ever on a first date and the date asks, what size you are, what size are you? Just know that you're either going to end up a frozen fucking dinner or a skin suit. So stay safe and always stay spooky. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the You Run podcast. Don't forget, you can get involved in the show in so many ways. All you need to do is head over to yourunpodcast.com.
Yeah, you don't want it to sound like you're literally reading from a script.
Shit, sorry, Heather. That's right, this is your show. It's fun. It's different. It's like nothing else out there. This is your true crime.
This motherfucker.